medical people in the professional areas to deal with it. And all who praying and whoever is contributing anyway, we appreciate. But between Sunday and today, it is a great improvement.
Mr. Holder recounted one of his most recent experiences with her.
I told her I love her, and she squeezed my finger. I told her, Daddy's little girl, and I said, Daddy is here, and I'll be here for you, and she squeezed my thumb. It made me feel great, because there's hope.
Mr. Holder says he is thankful for the outpouring of support from Barbados and overseas, and he's confident that with continued prayer, Nikisha will make a full recovery. Nikisha and 4 others were returning from a night out when the car ran off the road mere feet away from Illawarra Court, careened into a tree and struck a wall before overturning. 3 of the 4, 22-year-old Shakira Shepherd, 23-year-old Shamika Shepherd of Long Bay, and 25-year-old Waveney Johnson of Atlantic Park, all in St. Philip, died on the scene. 18-year-old Carrie Brathwaite of Breezy Hill, Halton, was taken to hospital, but she later died as well. The young women were said to have been returning home from a night out to celebrate Shamika's 23rd birthday. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Meantime, Minister of Transport and MP for St. Philip North, Michael Lashley, says St. Philip was touched by the tragic loss of 4 of its young women last weekend. He says that their lives will be remembered this Saturday during a vigil.
The characteristic of St. Philip is really one of bonding, unity, togetherness. And the family obviously will, at this point in time, will be coming together on Saturday at Long Bay Corner, and there will be a vigil for those that have departed, and tributes will be paid to the loss of the loved ones.
Well, a man who appeared in court today charged with stealing the car belonging to Aurelia Smith has been remanded. Cheris Ricardo Omar Ince appeared in the District A Magistrates Court charged with stealing the car which was driven by Smith's missing wife Marcel sometime between October 12th and 17th. And objecting to bail for the 36-year-old carpenter, Prosecutor Station Sergeant Neville Watson said that Ince is likely to be charged with murder as early as next week. Ince of 4 Roads in St. Philip will reappear in the District C Magistrates Court next Tuesday. Well, parents could very well find themselves being held accountable for the actions of their children who face the law courts. Barbados is told to look to England, where such legislation is already in place. While condemning recent acts of violence, especially those on government-run buses, Minister of Transport Michael Lashley says children need to respect the property of others. Recent stone-throwing incidents that resulted in damage to 2 buses saw students being brought before the law courts. He's telling Barbados that damage to state-owned buses is not only a cost to the Transport Board, but Barbadian taxpayers. Mr. Lashley says the availability of buses is a troubling issue for public transport, and he was a guest on the morning show with the Admiral on 94.7 FM.
We have an aging fleet at the Transport Board, very aging fleet, and we have now to see how we're going to get some other buses to really bring the daily schedule up so that we can have a more reliable service. Of course, we're trying our best in these circumstances. What we have to do now is management is doing an excellent job, I must say that, in terms of the limited resources that they have, particularly in terms of getting those buses out there.
Mr. Lashley says the decision to integrate the PSV sector into the public transport system will assist the sector overall. He adds that rather than resorting to importing new buses, local companies should be utilized to manufacture them.
Very shortly, I'm hoping to take a paper to Cabinet in relation to the manufacturing, the local manufacturing of buses to that effect. We'll start on a pilot project, and then we'll move forward hoping that we can have a company or companies in Barbados build their capacity to make a contribution again to the public transport sector.
Well, Barbados is confident the island and Guyana will advance what is already a good relationship between the two CARICOM states with the official visit of Guyanese Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge. His visit coincides with the hosting of the third meeting of the Barbados-Guyana Joint Commission. A cocktail reception was held in his honor at the Accra Beach Hotel, welcoming Mr. Greenidge and the Guyanese delegation to Barbados. Barbados' Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Maxine McLean, says memorandum of understanding will be signed between the respective tourism agencies and seaports. She says Bridgetown and Georgetown will be looking to broaden and deepen their relationship and create further opportunities for young people, professionals, and the business community. Minister McLean, who paid an official visit to Guyana back in 2013, says that a lot has been achieved since then.
Barbadian students have successfully completed studies in agriculture in Guyana through scholarships provided by the Guyana School of Agriculture. In addition, there are 7 interns from Guyana currently at the Crane Hotel, nearing completion of a 3-month internship in the hospitality sector. There's been considerable collaboration between Barbados' Industrial Development Corporation and its Guyana counterpart, Go Invest.
And Guyana's Vice President says the links between the two countries are very extensive and the interplay continues today. Mr. Greenidge says the current economic crisis provides a catalyst for economic cooperation. And with projections of growth for the region, he says opportunities present themselves to put in place several institutional arrangements.
To tie down the projects that will enable us both to share resources and to ensure the complementarity of skills which clearly exist between the two societies that can enable us to achieve a great deal in this period. Guyana, on our side, is of course a place with extensive material resources. To the extent that we are able to improve the governance and the management of the economy and the society.
Mr. Greenidge says Barbados and Guyana need to take advantage of all available opportunities. Well, several residents from some of the areas hardest hit by water outages in recent months were paid a visit by the Barbados Water Authority. But as Lisa Broom tells us, it was not to hear complaints about water woes.
Staffers from all departments of the Barbados Water Authority loaded trucks with buckets destined for St. Joseph and St. John, two of the areas suffering from frequent and prolonged water outages. Corporate Communications Specialist Joyanne Haig tells CBC News they've delivered 500 of 1,000 water containers to help people store water.
We know that there's going to be some challenges possibly next year with water supply, depending on how the rain comes. So we just want to get people geared into into proper storage and how to get it done and provide them with some adequate containers.
Ms. Haig says over the weekend, the other 500 will be delivered and another phase will be completed later.
They're level potable water rapid response units. This is also to go in hand with the stationary tanks that we would have put into the other areas. And so that is also part of the methods that we're using in order to address long outages with these solutions, but on a temporary basis, of course.
Once the loading was done, the trucks made their way first to Branchbury St. Joseph, where the 5-gallon buckets, 2 per house, were handed out. Residents were, for the most part, happy to receive them.
To get the buckets is one thing, we have to get water put it down. So how it works with us, when we see water, we store it. And people always say, well, buy a tank. But you could buy a tank and still have no water to fill it with. So I don't think a tank is the answer either.
It will help because when the car come out, the people, some people here, they show like the lady there, and other people just come and help carry water for me because my foot ain't good at all. Hurt me very bad.
Branchbury is one of the areas where the BWA installed one of 22 water storage tanks. Some of them can hold up to 2,000 gallons of water. Ms. Haig says they've identified a resident in each of the districts who will inform the authority when the tanks need to be refilled. Lisa Broom, CBC News. And
we'll have more news ahead, but first we want to get your take on this question. Should parents be legally held accountable for their children's actions? You can text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you by the end of our news.
So what's your idea of holiday happiness? Watching the kids open presents? Cooking in our new kitchen? The look on his face. Add to your holiday happiness with a loan from Scotiabank, and you could win a trip for two to Miami and other great prizes. Visit your Scotiabank branch today and talk to a representative about getting your loan. Contest ends January 15th. Conditions apply. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Naturally better Orchard.
Time for fun, bring out the sun. Nutritious, so delicious. Way less sugar, no artificial sweeteners. Orchard, natural choice. Orchard, with real fruit juice. Orchard, celebration in each cup.
Orchard 250 ml juice drinks now deliciously improved. Free of artificial sweeteners. More natural goodness with between 33 to 55% less added sugar. Orchard, a perfectly natural choice.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
Coming this Sunday on TV8.
I've worked with C.O. Williams Construction now for maybe 15 years in various forms of our maintenance and quality control of our equipment. But I am well known for my rallying, which has many of the spin-offs that accrue to work. So a lot of my experiences in both fields come back to one common objective, which is to keep equipment, machines working well and doing what they should do.
Coming this Sunday on TV8.
Did you ever know that your name is Hero? Yes, it is. And everything I would like to be. And I will fly higher than the eagle. Woo! 'Cause you are the wind beneath our wings.
From Sunday, all roundabouts on the island will come to life and the Sagicor Life Incorporated lighting ceremony comes off at 5:30 in Independence Square. National Coordinator of the Community Independence Celebration Secretariat, Curtis Gibbons, says this year will be a little different as they will also be lighting up key points across the island. And he was speaking on this morning's edition of CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
We have St. Peter's Parish Church, St. Lucie Parish Church, South Point Lighthouse, for example. Those are just some of them. And then for those in St. George, the Gun Hill Signal Station will be lit. So those are just examples of what we are doing. Now, the whole thing about the lighting ceremony and the program in general is to begin the month-long celebration of our independence. For us, independence isn't just November 30th, but we celebrate the entire month. And the first, when we officially turn on those lights, we will be illuminating not only Barbados, but the whole island to the concept of independence and what it means to be free.
Mr. Gibbons says as we prepare to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence next year, it will be a period of transition for the country. He says the youth will be the focus at the lighting ceremony on Sunday.
We're going to be having 11 school children, one from each parish, who will be assisting us with flicking the switch this year that will actually illuminate the whole island. So therefore it is very special because for us it's about the transition now. As we said before, we had the 50th anniversary of independence, and we are now transitioning to another state of our existence. So therefore we are now moving from our generation to the next generation. So that is the significance of that particular ceremony this year. Everything now is about the transition to the youth and making sure that they are the prospects for the future.
The much-celebrated social partnership in Barbados has been described as detrimental to the local trade union movement, and that's the assessment of head of the Department of Government, Sociology and Social Work at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, Dr. Tennyson Joseph, and he's suggesting that the trade unions should distance themselves from the tripartite grouping, which also includes government and the private sector.
While I appreciate the role of the social partnership as a particular state response in specific moments of crisis, it is an error on the part of the union to make it a permanent part of its modus operandi, especially when both the private sector and government find it necessary to violate the principle of the so-called partnership when it suits their interest. The labor movement should not be showing more faith in a capitalist device which was intended to contain the labor movement than the capitalist state itself is showing in its own institution.
Dr. Joseph gave the advice while delivering the 19th annual John Cumberbatch Memorial Lecture organized by the Barbados Union of Teachers. He also believes trade unions should sever their associations with political parties, saying they are being hamstrung by those relationships.
Through all of this, you must give urgent consideration to freeing yourself from the old political unionism which saw you as handmaidens and footstools of political parties. Indeed, the mid-1990s experience in Barbados, where a number of trade unionists on the government benches found themselves severely compromised by the imposed structural adjustment policies by their own government at the time, should have given us the earliest signals that the old political unionism had run its course, and that a genuine union leader cannot serve two masters.
Several Caribbean countries, including Barbados, are not allocating enough in their budgets to prepare and manage disasters or climate change. Barbados representative for the Inter-American Development Bank, Joel Bransky, says these are the findings of a study conducted back in 2012 in 7 IDB member countries. Mr. Bransky was speaking at a regional policy dialogue on the state of incorporation of disaster risk management and climate change adaptation in national public investment systems at the Accra Beach Hotel. There, key stakeholders met for a 2-day conference to discuss those issues.
These results are a cause for concern and point to the need of significant improvement in the manner in which Caribbean countries manage and cope with disaster and climate risk. A critical aspect of effective risk management relates to the level of prioritization and the manner in which present and future risks are incorporated into public investment projects.
And disaster risk management lead specialist with the IDB, Cassandra Rogers, says there's a need for significant improvement in how countries deal and cope with disasters and climate change. She stressed that countries needed to invest to be well prepared for any eventualities.
The idea is that by engaging in proactive risk management, we are investing today for a more secure tomorrow. We are ensuring that our investments are durable, sustainable, and hazard resilient. And we are also capitalizing on the benefits of this approach, because the studies show time and time again that where you invest for every dollar that you invest in proactive risk management, you save $4 to $7.
Students of the Holy Innocents Primary School have been taught the importance of saving from a young age. It was facilitated through Seroptimus International of Jamestown through a seminar entitled Wealth or Poverty, The Choice is Yours. Member Relations Executive at the City of Bridgetown Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Winston Allen, told the students that they must start laying the foundation for their future now.
If it's $1 every day or $2 or $5 every week, that is a start. It adds up. So that when you leave these schools, you spend at least 10 years in school. When you finish that, you would have a substantial amount of money saved up.
And President of Seroptimus International of Jamestown, Michelle Cave, says one of their mandates is economic empowerment.
We wanted to promote entrepreneurship, we want to promote wealth management, and we want to promote it in younger and younger people. We thought to address 5 schools in Barbados. They are actually in the north of Barbados. Holy Innocents is one of them. We asked COB, the City of Bridgetown Cooperative Credit Union to please come and join us in really having the children understanding what saving is, what investing is, what creating wealth is. And we enjoyed the session this afternoon because the children really interacted with the idea of wealth management.
And still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region. But first, we want to hear from you on this question. Should parents be legally held accountable for their children's actions? You can text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you by the end of our news. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CBC_newsroom and on our Facebook page, CBC News Barbados.
Here comes a very special time of the year. You're dreaming of the colors that will be everywhere. Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas.
Make Harris Paints your first choice this Christmas for a whole lot less. There's 20% off Perma, 25% off kitchen and bathroom, and 30% off all Ultimate Plus paints, plus the ever-durable Turbotex Natural for just $98. So dream in color this Christmas with Harris Paints, the Caribbean champions of color.
Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas.
To celebrate the completion